Hello and happy spooky season to everyone. I don't know if it feels like spooky season. No, Abigail is saying no. Abigail's in Ghana. Is there
It
do you,
does. It
yeah?
does. It feels
Yeah.
like spooky season. Not
Okay.
not the normal spooky season, but I feel like there's so much going on in the world right now that
Yes.
it's that
It is.
in itself is spooky. So yeah,
Yes.
it's spooky season.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's like we don't need real monsters or costumes to be surrounded by scary, terrible things. Um, Well, hello and welcome to everybody. My name is Amelia Bono, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director of Shout Your Abortion, and SYA is a nationwide organization working to normalize abortion and elevate paths to access regardless of legality. We make resources, campaigns, and media intended to arm existing activists, create new ones, and foster collective participation in abortion access all over the country and the world. Abortion Academy is a monthly webinar series where we introduce you to some of our brilliant colleagues who takes a deeper dive into their area of expertise. These sessions are for anyone who's looking to deepen their knowledge, connect dots between issues happening at the regional, national, and international levels, and just get some fresh ideas to take back into your community. And the Study Abroad series is relatively new. Maybe this is like our fourth one or something, where we chat with some of our international partners about the work that they are doing all over the world. So audience members will be off camera and muted for security reasons, but you will be able to ask questions in the chat throughout the session. And I'll be talking to Abigail in VNA for maybe 30 or 45 minutes, and you're welcome to jump into the chat and ask questions at any point. And we will start taking questions like towards the end of our conversation. We also have live Spanish translation available. So if you would like to listen in Spanish, you can go down to the bottom of your Zoom bar and click on the globe that says interpretation and then select English or Spanish. So today we are very excited to talk to a couple of our international partners about, brace yourself, the good that can be done with social media. It's not something that we think about or talk about every day. Sometimes for me, it feels difficult to find. Social media can, I think, or it does feel incredibly overwhelming, and stressful and traumatizing and like a difficult place to go to find good, empowering, reliable information. Um, and also, we know that social media, whatever form you're talking about social media, whether you're talking about Discord or which is sort of borderline, but whether you're talking about TikTok or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, people are talking about abortion everywhere. They are sharing information everywhere. And these are platforms that we can use to distribute information safely. And that also comes with a lot of caveats about censorship, about digital security, about just how effective it is to try to use these methods. Or are we being shadow banned? Are people even seeing what we are saying? Are these safe places to organize and like sort of find each other? There are a lot of questions, but there are people doing this work all over the world, and we're really excited to be joined by a couple of them today. Both of our guests are content creators and advocates who are working to share safe abortion information, destigmatize abortion, and make abortion more accessible all over the world, in every community, in every corner of the globe. You may recognize these two and their respective organizations from our recent collaborations on International Safe Abortion Day, when SYA partnered with a Mexico City-based artist named Maremoto to create a set of posters that were then translated into, I don't remember how many different languages, but probably like, I don't know, 8 different languages maybe, and then adopted into a bunch of different uh, uh, like versions to be used in different localities in partnership with different local groups on the ground who were out doing activations with these posters that they helped to create. And both of these folks were recently a part of that project. We are sad that SYA's incredible communications director and international connections person, Erin Jorgensen, is under the weather and not joining us today because that very much was Erin's project that she carried, and we love Erin. And I think that you both met Erin years ago now in a separate project, which we can touch on. But let me just introduce you both. So Vianney Estrada is the communications officer for Safe to Choose, a digital e-health platform that is focused on providing compassionate abortion care for people all over the world. She's based in Mexico City, has a bachelor's degree in social communications and a master's in gender studies, and is dedicated to working with sexual and reproductive health advocates around the world to ensure that there is a future where our bodily autonomy is prioritized and respected. Abigail Pepra is the communications officer for Find My Method and a passionate advocate for sexual reproductive health and rights. Based in Ghana, she works alongside a team of amazing advocates and creatives to ensure that women and people all over the world have access to accurate and non-stigmatizing information to make informed sexual health decisions. Thank you so much for being with us, Vianney and Abigail, and welcome.
Thank you to you for inviting us. We love Shout Your Abortion. Like you mentioned, we've been able to chat and partner with Erin before, but it's really great to expand and learn more about the team, see more about what your work is doing. And we just love, love, love the posters that happen. Oh, I was also telling Erin that I got the bandana that was sent
Oh,
a while
nice.
ago, and I love it. So everyone who's watching, go to their page because this merch is incredible.
Yeah, that bandana is a real cutie, and it's been worn by a lot of pets in the last 6 weeks or so. There is a whole campaign. We were like, we can't believe we've finally activated the cats because cats and dogs all over the world were wearing that bandana, which we made with Marimoto in Mexico City. Do you know Mar, Viene?
I'm familiar with her work, but I don't have the pleasure of knowing
Yeah,
her like as an
yeah.
individual. But I absolutely loved the
I
whole
guess
work that she
Mexico
did.
City is kind of a big place, so that makes sense that you
Extremely
have
big.
some there. But Um, so I guess just to get started, I think it might be helpful for folks if you could just explain like the organizations that you are a part of and sort of how they connect and overlap and what you do for the organizations.
Yes, I can go first. So basically, we are Women First Digital, and our goal is to make sure that sexual and reproductive health rights are accessible, information and access to resources is accessible to all, especially since we live in a digital age. It's very important that everyone can access this through their computers, their cell phones, wherever they need to use it. And under this organization, we have three sort of sister organizations that are Safe to Choose, How to Use Abortion Pill, and Find My Method, which has Mika. I will talk about Safe to Choose, which is where I work in. I am the communications officer for Safe to Choose. So I help out with a lot of the material, the content, video scripts, producing, just a lot of content creation and kind of public relations and marketing and a bit of everything. But Safe to Choose is an e-health platform that focuses on information on safe abortions. So what we do at Safe to Choose is provide information on the abortion pill protocols, on abortion access around the world, because as we know, a lot of countries and even within a country, different states have different access. So we want to make sure that everyone can have that information. We also have live counselors, which are available in 6 different languages, including English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Swahili, Hindi. And these counselors can give you advice and guide you through your abortion for free. They're available from Monday to Friday. And basically, you go with them, you tell them, hey, I'm thinking or I want to have an abortion. How can I do this? And they'll recommend kind of like what kind of steps you can take depending on what kind of abortion you want, what the legality is in your country, who maybe you could refer to locally if you want that support. So our counselors are really great. And I know them all personally. So they're all lovely women who are extremely passionate about providing abortion care. And we also have a series of testimonial videos just to help normalize abortions that I think Shout Your Abortion does an incredible job at doing, kind of just sharing these stories and showing that abortions are normal, they're common, they happen around the world with different types of people. So yeah, basically an information hub where we want to make sure that people can have access to all these things. And sometimes going to the internet is very overwhelming. You don't really know where to find the information, or if I'm being like lied to, if the information is accurate. So I want to make sure that all of that is encompassed into one place that helps people find the information and then choose what's right best for them.
I had no idea that you had counselors in that many languages working that often. That is incredible.
Yes, and they're all trained medically. Some of them are
Yeah,
like
yeah.
from a midwife background. Some of them are just really passionate about ASAR and then trained further on. They also have certifications and everything. But I think the most important thing, and for me, what stands out about our counselors is that they're so compassionate. It's basically like talking to an older sister who's like not going to
Mhm.
judge you, who's going to understand you, who's going to be calm. And when you're in a moment of anxiety or maybe fear or maybe ecstasy, they'll be there for you. So I really do love our counselors. I think they're amazing.
I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. This is just the Safe to Choose link will get you to these folks, right? And are there any like geographical, I mean, is this just anybody in the world who has internet access can chat with these folks and expect that they will be able to receive like medical support, that big sister support that you just described, and also potentially like help finding local resources?
Yes, of course. As long as they speak the same language as one of our
Hmm.
counselors, they have the information. So, for example, one of our counselors is based in Mexico, but if
Hmm.
you're like in the United States or if you're in a Latin American country or Canada, she has the information for the whole region. So we have counselors based on regions, and that helps us have like a bit more of a knowledge of the local context. So our counselors will understand what you're going through and make sure that it's
Hmm.
adapted based on maybe what you need, maybe the stigma you have within you, because it really varies
Hmm.
by location.
Right.
Yeah, local laws. So as long as you can communicate with them, it's free
Mhm.
and it's available year round.
Wow, this is amazing. Um, do you do you have any idea like how many folks they're speaking to in a given like month or
I don't have the exact data right now, but it's
yeah,
quite a lot. I would say
yeah,
it's a really big number, and it comes from all over the world. So
yeah.
we try to have like I can't think of a number on the top of my head, but
Mhm.
it's probably in the thousands. I think
Yeah.
if we're talking about a monthly
Wow.
basis. Uh-huh.
That's so beautiful. I'm like so glad to know that this exists. And yeah, thank you for holding that down. Um, do you have other things to share about sort of the your like your role in either of these buckets, or should we hear from Abigail?
I think Gail can go ahead.
Okay.
I've been here for almost 5 years, so I'm pretty familiar with all of them. But I
Mhm.
think Gail is the closest right now to the other organizations, so I think she'd be really great
Okay.
at introducing them.
Okay. Hi, Abigail. Tell us what's
Hi,
up.
Amelia. Hi,
Hi.
everyone. So I was the comms officer for how to use abortion pill until earlier this month where I moved to Find My Method. So I'm going to speak on how to use abortion pill first because I worked on how to use for over 3 years. So yeah, how to use is I feel like I always say there's a bit of an overlap between safe to choose and how to use because how to use also provided abortion information. However, how to use was focused solely on the abortion pills. Whereas when you go to Safe to Choose, you can get information on surgical abortion or abortion after 13 weeks. How to use was just within 13 weeks and using abortion pills. And one of our selling points was Ali. Ali was our chatbot, and Ali is available 24/7 in 6 different languages to answer any questions that users will come to Ali. Ali is available on WhatsApp, on Instagram DM, on our website. We have a landing page on there for Ali and on Facebook. So, yeah, people just reach out to Ali. You can ask Ali any questions at all because I understand sometimes it can be more difficult for people to navigate information on a website as opposed to just reaching out via DM or WhatsApp and going like, hi, I'm having an abortion with pills and then I'm bleeding too much. So I want to know how much bleeding is too much and when do I need to go to a hospital. And Ali was also able to refer users to the Safe to Choose counselors. So if you ask Ali a question that Ali feels, oh, I do not have this knowledge, but I can also refer you to a place where you can get more support. So yeah, there was a little bit of an overlap between what how to use it and say to choose it. So currently, how to use it is moving to a B2B um brand. So it's just going to be focused for providers because we also had an e-learning course for providers where people get certifications. This was created in partnership with IPPF, and the certification was also approved by FIGO. So we had a lot of medical providers. I believe that was also available in 6 or 8 languages. So we had providers from all around the world taking this medical abortion course and then getting certified for it. So yeah, that's how to use. And find my method, which I currently work on as the comms officer. And like Riani said, I do content creation. There's a little bit of influencer marketing. There's digital marketing. There's PR. So find my method is a contraceptive brand. And I like to say that it's a comprehensive sexual health brand because even though contraception is our main selling point, you can get a lot of sex, sexuality, and pleasure content on our website. Even when you go on our social media accounts, you're going to get all these messages. And Fire Method also has a mascot, Mika. Mika is also a chatbot who you can reach out to if you want to explore your contraceptive options. So Mika will help you based on your lifestyle, based on if you have some underlying issues. It will present you with the best contraceptive options. Then you can make a choice and take the decision from there. Yeah.
Um, Abigail, you mentioned that Ali is like accessible in I think you said WhatsApp and like other messaging platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
so how do you I'm like I feel like a old millennial who is bad at like I don't use there's a lot of platforms that I don't use. And I guess when I think of a chatbot, I think of like going to a website and then like a chatbot pops up and helps
Mm,
you. So
mm, mm.
how do you access Ali on something like WhatsApp?
Okay, so on WhatsApp, usually you have to access Ali through our social media platform. So our link in bio always has Ali's link, Ali's WhatsApp link, and we usually promote Ali on social media with Ali's WhatsApp number. Ali has a WhatsApp number.
Oh, wow. Ali has
Yeah,
their very own phone number. Oh my gosh. Okay.
yeah. Ali has a WhatsApp number, so you can just save Ali's number in chat. But we
Wow.
also acknowledge that for a lot of people, it might be difficult to save their number in chat because I mean, people just want to get it over with. That's why we usually
Yeah.
refer them to the link in our bio. So you just tap on it and it takes you right to WhatsApp so that you can initiate a chat with
Okay.
Ali.
Gotcha. So I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
like go straight to something negative, but I was thinking about obviously like digital security as you were talking
Yeah.
about
Mm-hmm.
people communicating in real time about their abortions to, a
Mm-hmm.
chat bot or to the counselors by like for that matter. And I guess I would like to hear you both talk about like how you think about that and how you encourage best practices and sort of like how you manage that like also for yourselves because
Mm-hmm.
obviously like in the United States there's this huge emphasis on um, criminalizing people who are helping others have abortions and as you know Shout Your Abortion is uh, committed to helping to engender a mass culture of defiance where people are saying, we will help each other no matter what. We will do the right thing. We will be careful about protecting ourselves and protecting the people we help, but we will not obey unjust laws. And, obviously, these laws are written in a way that is trying to scare us so much that we stop, and we want to be very clear that we will not ever stop. And that said, we also want to be very clear that there is a risk associated all like in many, many, many places all over the world with helping or to some degree with SMA, although I think that like, there's lots of places where SMA is not explicitly illegal. So I guess I would like to hear how you both like how do you think about digital security and everything that I just said?
Mm, that's interesting because we how to use a few months ago we created another resource on digital security. So it's available on the howtouseabortionpill.org website,
Perfect.
the digital security for abortion users. And the great thing about Ali is the moment you send Ali a hi and Ali asks about your language and you send your language, Ali sends you a disclaimer. So
Hmm.
now we are actually trying to get a lot of people not to chat with Ali on Meta. And even
Oh,
maybe on
not
WhatsApp, but
to.
more people to chat.
Hmm.
Yeah, so Ali sends a disclaimer that if you
Hmm.
want a more private and confidential chat,
Hmm.
you should click on the link to the website because the website is a more practical, it's a more private and
Hmm.
confidential option for anyone at all. But it
Yes.
also has now been embedded with the digital security, so it gives pointers on things that you should do, like not
Hmm.
saving Ali as abortion chatbot. You could
Yeah.
save Ali in a very random way. Even if you are talking, whoever it is you are talking with about abortion, you should make sure that you've not saved the person's name as
Hmm.
abortion counselor
Yeah.
or nurse for abortion, or that's something
Right.
you should do. Also, you always need to make sure that if you are sending videos, you are sending images, it's view once. It's not something
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
kept for more than 24 hours. You set your messages to disappearing. I know that even when you take all these precautions, your information can still be retrieved one way or the other because I
Hmm.
mean, of course, social media is the internet. But we try really hard to also make this information accessible to people so that in as much as they are getting this information from us, we are also making them aware that you need to take these steps to protect yourself. So
Hmm.
Ali is embedded with that extra thing for people to
Hmm.
know that yeah, I need to delete my chats right after this. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
I think those
Awesome.
are some of the ways, those are some of the ways we help people
Hmm.
with digital security.
If one of you could put the link in the chat to like the digital security
Yes.
brief that you were talking about putting together. So
Mhm.
is,
Yeah,
is
I'm
WhatsApp
going to.
is WhatsApp encrypted?
WhatsApp is not. So that's also something we struggle with because WhatsApp is not. But again, I think the steps we have for WhatsApp, if you are someone looking for abortion resources, is different. So in the PDF, it has a special section for WhatsApp, how to deal
Mhm.
with looking for abortion information on WhatsApp. There's even a section on if you are assessing physical abortion service, what to do, turning your
Mhm.
location off, maps to use instead of Google Maps so that your location cannot be accessed later, more private
Mhm.
ways. So yeah, it's a very comprehensive guide. I'm looking for it right now so that
Awesome.
I can share it. Yeah.
That's great. And I mean, I think it's important. Like obviously there are many conversations about security in our movement, about digital
Hmm.
security. And it's like a very fine line, I think, with you want to encourage people to take best practices, but you don't want to scare them so much that they think they can't have an abortion. And I think that also
Yeah.
it's like all of these things need to be measured against the fact that pregnancy is dangerous. Continuing a pregnancy is dangerous. And an unwanted pregnancy is, you know, like incredibly dangerous on many levels. So I think that starting from a place of we're going to help people navigate that situation is like a very important jump off as opposed to sort of like making people feel like they should be too scared to try, you know? It is a matter of like how are you protecting yourself in the process? And I think, Abigail, you just gave some very good tangible tips, and we're excited to look at this guide, and we'll definitely send it out to in our wrap up after this Abortion Academy. I want to hear like a little bit from you both about how you got into abortion work. It sounds like both of you have a sexual and reproductive health background. Uh-oh, did we lose Abigail? No. It
I
just,
think
I
she's
think,
maybe loading, but
oh,
yeah,
okay.
okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can go ahead first if that's fine.
Yeah.
So basically, I would say it's a happy accident how I got into abortion advocacy. But basically, I graduated from university during the pandemic.
Hmm.
And that was a terrible time to graduate
Yeah.
during the pandemic. And while I
Yeah.
was looking for a job, this organization came up as an opportunity. And to me, it was like a light bulb moment because for the first time, I realized that you could work in abortion advocacy or social justice or human rights, which is something that I never thought of. Wasn't really
Mm-hmm.
discussed at school. So I was like, oh, wow, like I can combine what I know that I like with what I studied. And I always say joining the advocacy space and abortion advocacy made kind of like a slap in the face because it made me realize that even though I always considered myself pro choice and pro abortion and supportive, I still needed a lot to learn. And there were
Hmm.
biases that I have, and there are things that I had to learn, things I had to get rid of. Things that I need to become more intersectional and become more inclusive and learn more about the different stories and testimonials and advocates working around the world. So for me, this kind of came up with this job. And then it made me realize how important it is to advocate for safe abortions. I think you don't realize how much it can affect somebody's life if they don't have access to it until you hear the stories. I think a lot of the times when we get information about abortions, it's numbers. Like, I don't know, 50% of women have abortions or 40% of women have unsafe abortions. And that really doesn't help you understand the impact it can have on individual lives. So for me, having the opportunity to speak with abortion seekers and people who can become pregnant and indigenous and from in America. So we have a really big culture in indigenism and kind of ancestral practices and kind of also just going back to our culture and our roots before colonization. So to me, it was just kind of opening this Pandora's box of everything that I could learn and know more about sexual and reproductive health rights. So that's basically how I got started. And then that just kind of just jumped off into me wanting to do more about women's rights and human rights and just open up a really, really pretty world for me to continue to advocate and learn more.
I love that you were like, I didn't know this could be a job. It's like, I
It's
feel like,
surprising.
yeah. I mean, I think it's really hard in this world of just like global capitalist nightmare. I feel like it's such a blessing. I'm
Yeah.
so grateful to get to do something so beautiful as my job, you know? Like even on the hardest day, it's just like the
Yes.
best. It's still such a blessing, and I can tell that you feel the same way. Um, and also, like when you were speaking about how it feels, I remember the first time I spent time with a group of independent abortion providers in the United States, and I was just like obsessed with sort of the feeling that they conveyed of
Mhm.
helping people through an abortion, and not in some like weird savior way, but just like kind of what you were just speaking to VNA about, like you are in a short time able to like support and witness someone in one of the most like
Mhm.
impactful moments of their lives, and you feel it, and like what an honor that is, and just knowing that you are able to support like really change someone's life in like an afternoon.
Mhm.
And I remember a doctor saying to me, I was like, what could ever, I was kind of having that realization that I think people do when they get into this work of like that abortion is everything.
Yeah.
Like it's not only just like sexual reproductive health, autonomy. It is like it's racial justice, it's economic justice, it's gender justice, it's everything that happens in your life after the abortion. It's the whole rest of your life.
Mhm.
It's freedom from state oppression. It's everything. And I remember just being like, what could ever feel this way? And like I was like, what else besides abortion could ever feel this amazing? And this group of doctors all said at the same time, nothing. And I feel like a lot of activists that I know feel that same way. Like once you get into it, it's just like not only are you helping someone to end an unwanted pregnancy, you're helping people in all of those areas of their whole lives, you know? Like, and so it sounds like you feel that in these small interactions that you're having with people.
Yes, and I would like to highlight that I think in Latin America specifically, we're very much community focused.
Hmm.
So when you have an abortion, like you need somebody, you can have like four people with you, five people with
Yeah.
you in your house, and they're with you, and they're always protecting you, and they go out and they'll like find your favorite things and help you. I think
Yeah.
one of the most impactful things in Latin America is the Green Wave. I
Mhm.
think it showcases how powerful it is when communities come together, and then when you actually go to one of these like Green Wave marches, you'll see it's not only them advocating for abortion, it's them advocating for
Mhm.
SRHR for the LGBT plus community. It's advocating
Right.
for better access for those in the disability community. It's advocating including moms,
Yes.
listening to the voices of mothers and who are pro-choice, listening to those who don't have the financial ability to have an abortion and getting
Yes.
together and finding a way to make it work. I think that's what makes it really magical and powerful. And I feel like if everyone had that kind of moment of
Yeah.
realization, they would
Yes.
completely change the way they view abortion.
Yes, I appreciate that lens so much. And I think that, there is a lot of overlap with the movement for reproductive justice in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously was an answer to this like incredibly limited view of just like reproductive rights and the movement for reproductive health is seeking essentially just abortion care for individuals who
Mm-hmm.
are exercising a right to privacy and medical care that like you can have if you pay for and you should never talk about it. And meanwhile, there are, like women of color who are
Mm-hmm.
having unfair like intervention from state agencies who are not allowing them to parent, and like drug users being fucked with, like all of the ways that pregnancy criminalization has occurred from the get-go has always been happening. So that's got to be a part of the conversation. And like you said, in like Latin America, it's like stuff like femicide, like violence against women.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that is naturally a part of the conversation. And like this naturally sort of expansive and intersectional, like it's like the demands were always everything, you know, and not leaving anyone behind. And I think that the United States really, really fucked up in that way, and we're like still playing catch up. And the movement for reproductive justice has like, that I think lens has had it right
Yeah.
all along and was very much, like I said, a response to the limitations of sort of the mainstream, like kind of corporate white feminist approach to what we were asking for and who we were willing to leave behind. So I really appreciate you talking about sort of, yeah, the community framework as being like inherent to the way that it works, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And that like the idea that a person would be sitting there alone without like that's not the way it works. And I think that like that idea is very much still something we're trying to break away from in the United States. Like that you and your abortion, like you need to be isolated, you need to be secret, private, like not being helped by community. So I appreciate you bringing that in.
No,
Abigail, do you
thank
want to tell us? Oh, did you have
No,
something?
no, no. Please go ahead.
Abigail, do you want to tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about how you found your way to this work?
Yeah, I always say I wish I was Latin American because I I love their community. I love how they always come together for things like that. Because my reality is totally different. So funny story, but I got my interest for sex and sexual health and everything started because I started reading Smart in I think that I was around 14, 13, 14, 15. I started reading Smart. And it just felt
Are you
like,
saying you started reading
okay,
smut? Is that what you said?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, Smart. I started reading Smart because
Okay.
growing up in Africa, in Ghana, sex, sex is still a bit of a taboo topic
Hmm.
over here. So I also grew up in a very religious home, so there was nothing
Hmm.
like that. So I started reading smart, and I was like, oh my god, there's this really big world out there that I have no idea about.
Huh?
So in uni, I love writing. In uni, I started writing short stories, but they were erotica. So my friends were always interested. So I had a little WhatsApp group where when my story is ready, I put it in there, and people loved it. Then I started a WordPress account where I was posting my stories. I mean, when I started, it was just a hobby. Then
Hmm.
I started reading a lot more on sexual health and everything. So on my Snapchat, I started sharing sexual health
Hmm.
information. And then there were times that people would reach out to me, oh, I'm with my boyfriend and this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is something I could actually look into. So after my bachelor's degree, I started an event. It was called Eden. So Eden was just targeted to disseminating accurate and reliable information on sexual health for the teens and youth in
Hmm.
Accra. I mean, the main city, the capital city of Ghana, Accra. So I started that event and it ran for a couple of months, and people were always interested in coming. So while I was doing that, I went on LinkedIn one day and then I saw a job ad for a communications officer for how to use abortion pill. Initially, I was like, maybe I'm not qualified for this role, but also what what happens if I
Hmm.
apply? And then I
Yeah.
applied and I got feedback that, oh, we are interested in getting to know you more. I was ecstatic. So I did my interview, and Mitchell, who is now our senior digital marketing manager, she loved me. She loved what I did. And I felt so gassed because after I went to look at her profile and I saw everything she did, I was like, yeah, I aspired to be someone like that. And I realized I always got this rush, even when I did not know a lot. I always got this rush when people come to me and I was able to help them.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I wanted a way to do it on a bigger scale. I
Hmm.
knew nothing about abortion coming on. I would say I was not even pro-choice coming onto how to use abortion pill. I did
Yeah,
not
Abigail,
have.
I want to ask you, what was your perception of abortion growing up?
Yeah, I was anti-choice. I was so anti-choice
Is
because
the
I grew
is
up in a
the
very.
is the
Mhm.
predominant religion in Ghana, is it Christian?
Yeah, yeah, it's Christianity. So yeah,
And it's
there's a lot of stigma
yeah, yeah. A
around
lot of
abortion.
so is it
There's a
like
lot of
very
stigma.
like you are bad if you have an abortion, abortion is
Yes,
and people like
yes.
don't talk about it.
Yeah, people do not like to talk about it, but I can also say it's getting better
Yeah.
now. I mean, yeah, it's not as bad as before. I started a
Yeah.
TikTok page actually where I share the information we have on how to use abortion pill to people. I've been able to build a bit of a community with even some pharmacists and all that I'm able to refer people to. I refer people to, let's say, to choose counselors. I refer
Mhm.
people to women on web, to,
Amazing.
just anywhere that's because I get a lot of people. When I started my TikTok, it was just supposed to be a Ghanaian thing. But I get
Hmm.
requests from people in the Philippines, people in the
Amazing.
US, people in Mexico, and like all over the world. So I do think it's getting better now in
Yeah.
Ghana. However, we are still not there. There's still
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of stigma around this. Yeah, yeah.
Well, so I kind of interrupted you to ask that question, but you were saying how like when you
Mhm.
started this job, you were like so excited, but you were like not even pro-choice. So talk
Yes,
to us about
yes.
how that transition happened and you now became this international abortion icon.
I think I think I was not pro-choice because I was not privy to how abortion actually works or how it looks
Mhm.
like. I had no information on what happens when people have abortion. I had a lot of misinformation. If you have an abortion, you will die. And if, like, those very horrid negative things that people say about abortion, that those were the things. But I feel like I was at a point where I was not judging people if they had an
Mhm.
abortion. However, I was not. yeah, anyone should have an abortion if they want
Yeah.
to, until I joined How to Use Abortion Pill. So with all the information I had to put out, like obviously it took a while for my biases to. So I remember I went through this whole phase where my supervisor always had to recheck my content, and I was trying, but obviously, of course, I came from a background where there was a lot of stigma, there was a lot of bias. So there were times that I'm creating content and then you could see some of my bias in how the language is written. So yeah,
Mhm.
I've definitely come a very long way. But all the information on how to use it is so non-stigmatizing. And I work with amazing people who have also
Mhm.
supported me. Vianney, one, because yeah, if I have any second thoughts on something, I can reach out to anyone at all, and they are always so supportive to correct. And then yeah, so it's been a great journey for me. I did not start out this way, but I've definitely come very far.
I love that. I think that that's like really beautiful. And I thank you for sharing that because I think that like sometimes, I don't know how it is in, in like your circles of activism, but I think that sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's like an expectation that, um, I don't know, it feels like people are very embarrassed or even ashamed to like share their, or it's hard to find a place for people to work through their own hangups.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I think that like it's really healthy to have like a group of people around you, which it sounds like for you, Abigail, like your coworkers have been amazing in like holding a space for you non-judgmentally to talk about what's coming up for you. And like we can't ex like it's not the way that we live in this world of so much stigma, and we've all been like swimming in it. It's like the oxygen in everywhere all over the globe. And so it's like there's going to be places, it's like I remember when SYS first started, it was like I had never considered or thought about like someone having 10 abortions, like I had never like considered that that was even a reality. And like it took I don't even know if I had like internalized stigma per se, but I was kind of just like, how is that a thing? And then it's like, you engage with people's stories, you talk about what's coming up for you. If you are lucky, I think that you can like encounter someone who is like willing to share with you. And at the end of the day, I think that you come to see like this is people's lives. Lives look really different. Like there's a lot of different ways to like have sex and, use birth control or not use birth control. And like whether you do or don't should not, there's no moral implication to that. And it's like if you take that to its logical conclusion, then it's like, well, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? But it's like you kind of have to like have that conversation with yourself or maybe another person that you trust, and hopefully in a way that's not, sort of like showing up with your stigma in conversation with an abortion seeker or someone who has had abort, like whatever. So I think it's really cool that you are able to do that, Abigail, that like you've had people hold you down as you kind of evolve into the work because like none of us are just coming, like we don't just arrive perfect stigma-free beings who are ready to like provide culturally, competent care and support to anyone we ever encounter. That's just not the way that that works. I think that Abigail, you might be frozen. I don't know if you want to try turning your video off for a sec. It might work. Um, DNA, do you have anything to like share about? I think it's interesting what you were saying about how like abortion is naturally a more communal thing in Latin America, in Mexico. And I mean, that's certainly like our perception in the States is like, we think about stuff like the accompaniment model, and we see like these collectives, feminist collectives and collectives of doulas and helpers, and like these models that have like originated in Latin America. And we very much like see these things as aspirational. and are doing everything we can to learn from them. And we also know that it's like Mexico is like a super Catholic country, like stigma is still a thing. And maybe stigma is still a thing in like, I don't know, like in movement spaces, kind of like we were just talking about. So like, can you talk about about like sort of how you see stigma, I guess, in your own world and internationally as well? Because we do know that it's like it's different everywhere. Like it
Yeah.
exists everywhere, but it's like a little different everywhere.
Yeah. First, I would say we are a predominantly Catholic country and region as a whole. And I think if you grew up Catholic, you know that Catholic guilt is something you just have and you never get rid of, even if you're atheist or agnostic
Yeah.
later on. It's just the way it works. I've talked to some colleagues who we were having a conversation. We were going to church for touristic purposes and we were talking about the church. And I remember one of her said, like, I don't know this word in English, but basically she was kicked out of her church, and the people in her region were kicked out of the church if they were supporting abortions because it's like you can't be one and another. But I think
Mhm.
there's ways to make up this relationship and kind of like heal it. For example, there's this really great organization that's Católicas por el Derecho a Decidir, Catholics to the right of choice, and they do a
Mhm.
really great job of showcasing how your religion doesn't necessarily mean that you can't support abortion, you can't support the LGBTQ community, you can't support feminism. I think there are
Mhm.
ways that people are adapting the kind of knowledge we have and kind of the religious way we view things. I think also colonization really did a
Mhm.
lot of countries dirty. I feel like a lot of the issues we have was because of colonization, and there were things that were more um, open and liberal and understood before we were colonized into these
Mhm.
kind of religions that are very much conservative and the purity culture and everything. So I would say that that's one of the things. I think it's very similar in what Gail said is that um, there's always this persistent idea of what if I'm do what the thing that I'm doing, is it wrong, is it right, will I be
Mhm.
judged, how can I make peace with this. And I think that it's hard, it's not easy. It'd be a lie to say that it's very easy and you can get over it. It's not. It's something that you
Yeah.
kind of have to go through, and that's why community is so important. Because if I have a group of friends and I'm like, the first time I talked about abortion, like I felt very self-conscious about it, and somebody's like,
Mhm.
yeah, me too, and it's normal and it's okay. And I think that's something that we do often, is that we kind of have these spaces to talk about things and be like, okay, so how do you feel? No? And they're like,
Yeah.
I'm an abortion provider. I never had an abortion. And when I did have an abortion, I felt so many things. And like, I was so conflicted with some of
Right,
my
right.
views. And I think that's just the things you kind of have to go through.
Mhm.
And you experiment. And I think that uh, there's kind of three ways to view people. And one is like people who are in favor of what you're doing, people who can be persuaded, so people who kind of are still on the fence about
Mhm.
abortion, and people who are completely against abortion. We're not going to view these people because it's just not possible to kind of
Yeah.
swift their opinion. But the people who are in the middle ground, it's usually easier when you share these experiences. Like I said, instead of
Mhm.
talking about in numbers, kind of be like, okay, open up this conversation. And my personal experience, once I became more active and working in SRHR, I became much more vocal about it. So people don't maybe not know what I work in, but they know that I work in this kind of landscape. So I've been contacted by people like, my friend needs an abortion. Can you help me? My friend is going through an abusive relationship. Do you know what I can do? My friend needs this support because of this thing. And I was like, oh, so that's how networks are created. That's how
Mhm.
we kind of sew these networks together and make sure that people have this support in the community approach that they need. And I think it's part of that. Like, people are usually scared to talk about something until
Mhm.
one person, you just need one
Yeah,
person to
totally.
speak up and say something, and then you'll like have an open conversation. And I've had this with my family. Like, my mom had a miscarriage and I never knew about it, and when I started talking about abortions, she openly discussed this. I have friends who went through their abortions alone, and then later on, when they found out I work in this, they talked to me about it and how their experience was. And I always like, do you need any support? Do you want to have a conversation? Like, I have friends who can help you out with that. I think it's just that it's not easy to get rid of guilt or stigma or biases. It's very hard, and it's very hard when you have
Yeah.
to be critical about yourself. I think everyone has an ego. Everyone's like, oh no, like I'm doing a great job, and then you get shown something with like, and I'm pretty sure like in 5 years, the work we're doing right now, in 5 years, we'll be like, "Ooh, I think this could have been done
Oh,
better."
totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think that's part of it. I think, like I said, that Catholic guilt is always with you, but you kind of have to go through it. But my
Mhm.
emphasis is on don't go through it alone. And even if you
Yeah.
think that a space isn't safe, I swear, if you open like that conversation up, you'll be like, oh, there's like a lot of, maternal trauma that like my grandma, my aunts, my mom, my
Mhm.
sister, they never talked about. And now that they know that they have this space, they openly talk about it, and we're closer now
Yeah.
more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I totally agree. Like we we will look back at the things that we're writing
Mm-hmm.
and creating in 5 years and be like, "Ooh, I would change that." And that will be because we have built a better world
Mm-hmm.
then and we see things now. We've developed more of a lens to see
Yeah.
things that we are not capable of seeing now. And it's not about being perfect in this moment. It's about being open to evolving and being imperfect and recognizing that that's a part of it and like holding each other accountable in loving ways. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I think it's possible. It's completely possible. And I think
Totally.
I don't think there's an end goal when it comes to abortion. I don't think it's
No,
like, okay, abortion is legal. We did it.
no,
No,
fuck
no,
no.
no, no. So there's always room to grow and learn and just do better,
Yeah.
be better.
I want to go back to like social media for a sec, and just kind of talk to you both about like how you I know that you both work across a number of platforms and like make a range of content. And I guess I just would like to hear from you like a little bit about some of those projects and sort of like um how you see like social media content playing a role in someone's either journey to like seek an abortion or like their journey to like dismantle their own stigma about having an abortion or about like judging people for having abortions, whatever. Like just kind of how you see social media like being a part of this work that we're doing, because obviously like social media is so it's so fucked up and so like it's so it feels like abusive to open your phone half the time, you know? But like I know that there's people like you that are actively like changing the world with social media content.
Yeah, I think Vianney is a social media whiz. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to say a few words and then let's take it away. But I would say that I think one thing I really love is in general seeing shareable content, shareable assets. So from all the brands, not even just us. So, those cute quotes that have like affirmations that are sometimes infographics on how to use the pills, the ones that you tend to see a lot of stays on. If you're on social media, you probably see some reposts. You see, maybe you not see a lot of likes, but behind the scenes, when the social media manager is looking at it, they can see that, oh, a lot of people say this content. I love those kind of content because unfortunately, due to the stigma around abortions, people do not want to interact with the kind of
Mhm.
content that we create. A lot of people, even when they need the information, they are not going to interact with the content. People probably rather take a screenshot to keep in their gallery instead of liking or reposting or sharing to their story. So sometimes it can be very difficult that way. However, I think it's always important that we focus on our reach when you're sharing on social media because no matter what it is you think you're putting out, it's impacting someone. Even if you have 20 users on your account, those 20 users are going to look at your content, they're going to see your content, and it's going to make an impact one way or the other, whether it's negative or positive. So if you are using social media, you always need to be careful about the type and kind of content that you are putting out there. What message you want people to process when they see the content? What are you reinforcing? So it's really important. Language matters very, very much in changing the perception of the people that are on your page. I think Vianney already also mentioned that now we are in a digital age. People go on social media. People are now, a lot of the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are now using TikTok as a search engine. So it's we are just at this point where we have to use social media, and it's information that people need. The work that we do, people need it. We cannot say that, oh, I'm going there. I did not want to go there, but I'm going there. We can't say that,
Mhm.
oh, because of big tech, because of censorship, we are going to take a step back. We are not going to do as much as we are doing anymore. We do not have the luxury of that because, unfortunately, there are so many women, there are so many people who are able to get pregnant who live in restrictive countries. So, their only source of information, of reliable and accurate information, is from social media.
Mhm.
So I think we cannot do without social media for the work that we do. We have partnerships that does a lot of on ground activities, and that pulls a lot of reach as well. However, we cannot do with social media. It's
Mhm.
amazing in reaching so many people that we cannot reach in person because now everyone is online. Everyone is living their life online. So yeah,
Yeah.
I will let Vianney take over from here.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, Gail. She said a lot of great things, so I'm gonna try to compliment what she mentioned. I think first of all, something that people need to know is that, like Gail mentioned, TikTok and other social media applications are being used as a search engine. So, and I
Mhm.
do that too. If I want to go to a cafe, I'll be like cafe in this area, and then I'm gonna look at the videos and be like, that one looks good. Now, when you're looking for a cafe, there's two things that can happen. You can get a really cool cafe and go there and it's affordable and it's delicious based off of a video, or you can go to a cafe, the food is bad, the service is terrible, it's not in a great location, it's too expensive, and you're like, why did I listen to that video? That's the same thing that happens with abortions. You either get information that's accurate, that's safe, that's quality, or you're going to get really terrible information that's going to scare the hell out of you and it's going to make you be afraid of accessing abortion and it's going to make you anti-abortion, right? So those two things exist on social media. What we have to do is make sure that the information on safe abortions that's verified and it's accurate is more readily available than the one that's going to scare people. How do we do that? We utilize social media as a really great tool. And there are a lot of tips and tricks on this, as like you use keywords, you make sure that it's SEO optimized, you make sure that you're like whatever you go onto these apps and then you look at what people are searching associated to abortion, to SRHR, to pro-choice and whatever. So there are really great ways to do that. But I think more than that, it's telling your story, it's being as human as possible, it's showing that real people are behind this work and real people are interested and care about you. And that's what's going to make people be like, oh, this is changing my perception on this one thing. And that happens to everyone with every topic. I think we're all ignorant to some extent.
Mhm.
It's totally normal and it's okay to not know everything. We have to give ourselves the chance to learn and to grow. And social media is a really great way to do that, as long as we know how to filter out the information and make sure that, you know, we're not being clickbaited or we're not listening to AI videos of like animals
Mhm.
jumping on trampolines, which is very frightening right now. Um,
Yeah.
but I think social media in that sense is really great. And I think it's a way to give information that's not too medical. I think one of the issues
Mhm.
also is that people feel like I can't speak on abortion because I'm not a doctor. I can't
Mhm.
speak on abortion because I'm not a nurse. And it's like, well, I mean, if you could get pregnant and you can have an
Yeah.
abortion, then you can speak on it because it's your body.
Yeah.
It might, and I think people always think that something's not going to happen to them. I'm never going to have an unwanted pregnancy. I'm never
Yeah.
going to have a pregnancy that leads to a medical issue. I'm never going to have a pregnancy that could put my life at risk.
Yeah.
And you might think that. Hopefully, you never have to go through that. But if you do, I want to make sure you have access to that information. And if you're scared and your first thought is to see if somebody shared their story on TikTok, I want to make sure that you have access to a real story that's not going to scare you, a story that's
Yeah.
going to share that experience, that's going to share accurate information. So that's why we think social media is a very powerful tool. I know a lot of people are kind of sick of all the bad information and bad things that are
Mhm.
happening in the world. I can only imagine how it feels to be in the United States. And every video you see on abortion is just like abortion was banned here, abortion was banned
Yeah.
here, the abortion pills or whatever. But I think part of a way to combat that is just to make sure that people share like the goodness. It's like, okay, abortion
Mhm.
might be banned here, but you know what? There's this really
Yeah.
great collective that can give you information, that can
Yeah.
travel with you to another state, that speaks Spanish if you're undocumented and you need that help,
Yeah.
that can provide this financial support for all that you can do. So I think social media is a very powerful tool. It's not going to go away unless like the world explodes and we have no more access to internet. It's here to stay forever. So we might
Mhm.
as well learn to ride the wave of social media, learn how to use it smartly, and try to
Mhm.
make sure that our content, whoever we are, is reaching the people that actually need it. And I think a good way to do this is also just kind of to continue to collaborate, support all the organizations because we're not competition. We're like
Yeah,
sisters or friends. We're
exactly.
trying to help out. So I think that's a good
Yeah.
way to do it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know that we totally agree. That's very much our philosophy as well. Like both the uplifting of other organizations and sort of seeing one another as like part like members of a family or an ecosystem that like we need all of us. And I think that sometimes, capitalism pits people against each other, especially when it's like you have to fundraise and sometimes it feels like in the United States there is like a mentality of like people who work in like I don't know, like people needing to argue that their thing is the solution or something. And it's like, no, we need abortion funds, we need pills and doulas and SMA information, we need independent clinics, we need all of it. We need advocates, we need storytellers, we need all of it. And so I appreciate that. And also like what you said about how it feels in the United States to be like looking and seeing like all of this bad news about abortion all of the time. And that's like definitely something that we very much believe. It's like if you look at SYA's Instagram account for the last like I mean since before Dobbs because we knew that that was going to happen and because like access was already really bad way before that for like millions of Americans. And so it's like, if you look at our account, like, you're going to find abortion access. You're not going to find us being mad about laws that aren't ultimately going to stop us. Like, you're going to find keys, you're going to find doors, you're going to find helpers. And I think that it's really like, I don't know, sometimes there is like a mentality of like, if you're not freaking out, if you're not using like your personal platform to like freak the fuck out about bad things happening, then like you're being a jerk. And I mean, I don't know. It's like that's like a complicated thing, you know, in some ways. But I think that like you're right. It's like we have people's attention in that place like that this is a place where people are like you said just like they're using it as a search engine and so we got to be there helping them find healthy safe care and support and it's like I don't know how much does it help people to post something that's just like this terrible abortion thing happened. It's like how about here's how you use abortion pills, you know?
And
Um,
I was gonna say it's not easy. Like I know it's easy to
yeah,
get consumed with like fear and despair and be like,
yeah,
what's gonna happen now? Like obviously, and we also have to be allow ourselves to feel bad and be sad and kind of be like
yeah,
dejected. But I think it's also really good to be like, this happened. Let's mobilize each other so this never happens again. And I think
yeah,
that's like a really great way of kind of twisting it so it's not always just doom and despair and maybe like, okay, we can get something out of this.
yeah, absolutely. And I think like movements in Latin America have been incredibly inspiring in showing progress being made that like seemed impossible to many people 15 years ago. But like we can do it different. I think that, yeah, everyone that I feel like when people are like, I feel so fucked up, like, how do I like feel better? I'm like, I think that if you just get involved in some way, you will feel better. And also, it's like when I'm around like people like you all day, it's like our like siblings in the movement, like we are undeterred and we are going to win. Like we are unstoppable. And if you want to feel that way, like get in here, you know? And you will feel like it will rub off on you because you will see that it is true that like no government has ever shut this shit down and it's not going to stop. It's not going to start right now. Um, I want to make sure that we're taking any questions from the audience. I'm not sure if there will be, but um, I wanted to ask also if this has been like a amazing chat. You're both incredible. Your work is incredible. It's so inspiring. I mean, even just the chat, the knowing that the chat bot and the counselors in what you said 6 different languages, like that's incredible. What I'm so excited to share that good news, like but I wanted to ask both of you if there's like stuff that you wanted to highlight or talk about that you didn't have a chance to so far.
I think I would mention precisely that. I feel like sometimes when you're not, like, I think it's hard for people to declare themselves advocates or activists.
Hmm.
I think sometimes it's like, I don't think I've earned that badge. But I feel
Hmm.
like I mentioned, just like having that one conversation with your family or sharing that one story on the resources can change like complete trajectories. So I would
Yes.
say if you think that our resources and Shout Your Abortion resources are valuable, share them on your story, repost them on your social media, talk about them to your friends and family, and be like, wow, I didn't know that so many people experience this when they had their abortions. So, like, wow, I didn't know that I can actually get abortion support and it's not super complicated or scary. So, I think
Hmm.
social media has a lot of power. The really great thing is that you don't have to be like an influencer with a million followers to upload a
Yes.
video. Maybe one person views your video, or like two, like on a good day, 15 people. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because that one person, they might
Yeah.
have a better life because of that.
Yes, absolutely. That's so good. Abigail, what do you think?
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. So I was just going to say, um, like we said, it could literally just take one person. I started my TikTok page with about 25 followers, and now I have over 14,000 followers. So yeah, you never know who you're helping. When I made my first video, I got about 20 views. I was like, oh, okay. But then I kept going, and now it makes me so happy to see. So yeah, you do not, I mean, not everyone has the luxury or even has the willpower. Maybe willpower is not the word to use, but not everyone wants to sit behind the camera or sit in front of the camera, and
Yeah.
that's totally okay. That's totally fine. I just feel like one way you can also be an advocate is just like we said, to share resources from other feminist organizations, abortion organizations, sexual health organizations. Share them on your story, share them to your friends. You can take a screenshot, put them on your WhatsApp status. And if there's a hashtag trending, like on Twitter especially, sometimes it could just be as simple as just tweeting the hashtag. I think there's so many ways you can help the movement. And yeah, one thing that is prominent is sharing, making sure that people have information available to them. That's all you need to do. You do not have to go the extra mile if you feel like that's not something you want to do. It's totally fine. Just support us
Mhm.
by sharing our work to the people you know. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. And I don't like making social media I don't like being in front of the camera at all, you know? And I think that sometimes it just feels like a lot of pressure to like yeah, like you were saying too, Vina, to like be perfect or like be like, I don't want to be like uh I don't know, like a fear of being like a bad advocate or whatever. But I really like the way that you're both talking about this. Like you can take little steps. You don't have to be out there alone, like trying to like say the perfect thing. You can just uplift the work that people are already doing. You don't have to like do it all the time, just like a thing here or there. And also just like I think that we all sort of conflate like scale and numbers with like success. But I really, really love what you said, Vianney, that like you may literally change the course of someone's life, like with one post, with one conversation. And I think that anyone in this work like has felt that and knows that. And like we welcome you. We welcome you to just like tiptoe into it, just start sharing a thing here or there, work from other organizations. Like yours, like your incredible, incredible organizations. Will you tell us for the last thing, like if there's ways that we can, aside from just like elevating your work, are there ways that folks can support you and I guess safe to choose and how to use abortion pill and the chatbot?
I would also just answering this question. We will be at ICFP. Maite and Lena, who are our colleagues, will be there, so please look out for them. They have a presentation on the Safe to Choose counselors too. That will be at ICFP, so that's really cool. They'll give out more information on that. In regards to supporting us, you can donate. Safe to Choose has a section where you can buy like a gift for someone in the form of a donation, and that way you can support the work we do. I think another great way to support, for example, how to use is signing up for the free e-learning courses. They're literally free, like, and
Yeah.
they're there the whole year. You can do them the time and pacing you want, and it's just like a free resource that will help us out. Because the more people know that they're interested in learning with us and growing with us, the more success we'll have because people will find out about our work and everything we're doing. Like we mentioned, just sharing the resources, that's really cool. And just like sharing the love, I think that's a really great way to help us out. Um, and then also, I think that just saving things, reposting things, things are super simple, is really great. And I think also that we work with a lot of content creators. So we work with a
Mhm.
lot of people localized in different regions. If you see a video of us like with them, you can go ahead and like follow them and like ask them like, oh, do more videos with them. I want to learn more about this, and that way we can continue to collaborate with more people. I think that's a really great way of doing that. I think Gail can share just like another tip of how to support us.
I you covered everything. You shared all the ways in which we can be supported. So yeah, I would also love to highlight amazing designers. So when you go on our social media pages, we have our designers handles under all the posts that they make. So you can follow them, you can support them because I think art is also one of the amazing ways that we use to communicate to people, especially when we can't use certain words, when the words fail us, our designers come through for us. So you can also support them by following them and yeah, sharing our work whenever you come across it. That's always appreciated.
It's been so wonderful talking to you today, both of you. Thank you so much for your time and for your
Likewise.
work. And SYA loves you. We are so grateful for our connection. We are so fueled by international solidarity, and you are a big part of that. So thank you for your work and for everything that you've shared with us today.
Thank you too. We love SIA as well. Whenever
Yeah.
I'm asked what's one of my favorites, the off the top of my head is always shouting abortion. I'm in love with everything you do. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
having us.
Thank you.
Back at you both. It's good to be in this movement together, and we're so glad that we have each other.
Mm.
Have a good rest of your day.
Thank
Thank
you
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 so
for
much.
too.
everything.
Thank you both.
Bye.
Talk
Okay,
soon.
bye.